Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of VAR and Espresso. With me today, it's just Leo. Hi, Leo, on that side.
Hi, Daniel. How are you?
I'm okay. Now, hosting, it's just me, Daniel. Things to cover today. Obviously, we are looking forward to the quarterfinals of the Club World Cup, doing a bit of a preview and a bit of a deep dive into that, as well as going over the results from yesterday's action at the Women's European Championship. One game was a bit of a slow burn. The other, wasn't back and forth. It was just back. One team, Spain, absolutely brilliant. But I suppose we'll just jump straight into the Club World Cup quarterfinals. Now, the first quarterfinal, I believe, is Fluminense versus 𝐊𝐤𝐤. Now, both of these teams pulled off enormous shocks in the previous round and have earned the right to be here. And of course, one of these is going to be a semi-finalist, which seems quite appropriate for teams that have defeated Inter and Manchester City, that one of them should get to the semi-final.
Yeah, as you said, it was first. It was a massive shock for both of these teams to have knocked out Inter Milan for Fluminense and Manchester City for 𝐊𝐤𝐤, especially after extra time, because it has to be noted. And personally, if I should bet about this game, I'm going to go for Fluminense win. Why? Because I think 𝐊𝐤𝐤 have an extra 30 minutes in the legs. And given the context in the United States with the weather, the humidity, it's quite big. Moreover,
although of course, they did play in the evening compared to Fluminense, who played several hours earlier.
Yeah, and of course, 𝐊𝐤𝐤 ended their season back in May or April, and Fluminense are just in the middle of that, so it can change. It can count. And I hope about my hopes about that game. It will be a lively game. 𝐊𝐤𝐤 will have the ball, in my opinion. Fluminense on the counter attack, as we saw against Inter, by the way. And the result will largely depend on the Brazilians' ability to contain their opponents, as they have done very well, we have to say, since the start of the Club World Cup. Thiago Silva, 40, will be, I think, the key man in this opposition. And it will not be a 3-0 or a 4-0. It will be a tough game for both teams. As we know, Brazilians are tough. They always want to win. 𝐊𝐤𝐤, I think, has a better squad if we just talk about individuals. But just talking about just a team, I think Fluminense can win this one.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the stats for the previous matches for each of these teams, it doesn't suggest it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Yeah.
Just because Fluminense, so to get here, drew 0-0 with Borussia Dortmund, beat Ulsan HD 4-2, Mamelodi Sundowns 0-0, and Inter 2-0. So Fluminense have had 3 clean sheets. But they've only conceded twice, both of which was to Ulsan, but they've only scored 6 goals in 4 matches. So that suggests that, sort of very solid defensively. Looking at the percentages of possession as well, the wins against Ulsan. Actually, I'll come back to that point. 𝐊𝐤𝐤 drew 1-1 with Real Madrid, drew 0-0 with Red Bull Salzburg, beat Pachuca 2-0, and then obviously beat Manchester City 4-3. That came out of nowhere, really, regards to scoring goals. So 𝐊𝐤𝐤 have conceded 4 and scored 7. Before the Manchester City game, 𝐊𝐤𝐤 had only scored 3 goals in those 3 group stage matches, and actually only twice from open play. So scoring 4 goals against Manchester City seems a bit of a shock. However, having said that, you look at, and this is what I was going to say before, state of play. So 𝐊𝐤𝐤, when they beat Pachuca, they had less than 50% possession. Against Manchester City, they had, less than 30% possession, but you would do against Manchester City. It seems that their quality seems to come from a counter-attacking situation as opposed to being a dominant situation. Does that strike you?
Yeah, I think I agree with everything you said, and we have to recall that nor Al Hilal nor Fluminense have lost a game since the start of the tournament. So it says something about their ability to defend and to control also the game. And we have to also point out that René from Fluminense is suspended for that game. He was a starting player versus Inter, versus Mamelodi, and versus Dortmund. So he's a key player in this Fluminense side. But it would be quite interesting to see, because we previously said that Al Hilal is kind of a European team if you just look at the individuals, and even now with Inzaghi. So it will be, in my opinion, some kind of Brazilian versus European team match. In fact, in the structure of the game, not especially in the way they play, but it would be quite interesting. And I look forward to watch this game, because I didn't have any expectations about this Al Hilal side. To be honest, I never watched a game from the Saudi Pro League, and yeah, it's quite interesting to see them and to see how they shape to Felipe Inzaghi's um, coaching, because it's their first games with him at the head of the team. So it's quite a, for me, it's a success. Their Club World Cup is already a success, not just because they beat City, but because they are quarterfinalists of a Club World Cup.
Yeah, that's very true. Also, looking, as I say, we're looking at Al Hilal's statistics regards to possession, things like that. When you look at Fluminense's, I think it's quite interesting that they've had success both with the ball and without the ball, as opposed to just winning one way. So when they beat Ulsan, they had 70% of the ball. Against Mamelodi Sundowns, they weren't even trying to score. They had no shots on target. They were happy to take the draw and qualify. And yet against Inter, they still won, and they had 32% of the ball. So it's very clear that they are able to be the forward dominant side, but also very happy for the other side to have possession. So maybe the strange situation where neither team wants the ball, considering Al Hilal's success on the counter-attack in the last game, considering Fluminense are so defensively solid. I mean, again, 3 clean sheets in 4 matches is really impressive. Although that is a common theme with other Brazilian teams. Yeah, so you think you're going for a Fluminense win for this one?
I'm going for Fluminense.
Yeah,
and
I think I would have to agree. I think it is going to be my instinct says it's going to be a low-scoring game. So either a 1-0, maybe a 1-1 and penalty shootout, that kind of situation.
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
Because I just don't see the success that Al Hilal had in the last game was entirely based on having 2 players or 3 players being able to dribble with the ball, charge upfield, and have support. Yeah, but you know what? I think it'll be a fascinating match, considering these are let's say teams of equals. There is not an underdog. There is not a favourite. This is very much uncharted territory, which is kind of the fun of this tournament, right? You want matches like this, especially in knockout stages.
Yeah.
The second match, Palmeiras versus Chelsea. Now, there is a favourite for this one, obviously in the form of Chelsea. Head coach of Palmeiras, isn't it? Something Ferreira, I forget his first name. Apparently in a news conference yesterday, because the match is happening on the 4th of July, he said to all the local Americans, join up with us against the English, which is quite a nice sort of rally cry for the locals. Like, yeah, celebrate 4th of July by trying to beat the English. It's very, very funny. So Palmeiras and Chelsea. Palmeiras to get here drew 0-0 with Porto, beat Al Ahly 2-0, drew 2-2 with Inter Miami, and beat Botafogo 1-0. So 3 clean sheets again, only 5 goals scored, 2 conceded. Much like Fluminense, very tight defense, very precise when they attack and when they shoot.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, and I think it will be also a great game. And I think, in my opinion, that we will have two Brazilian teams in semi-final of the competition. Yeah,
Yeah, you think Palmeiras are going to do it?
yeah, I think, but it will be for Palmeiras. The real point in this game is to stay concentrated during the whole game, because during the previous we saw that the end of their games could be chaos. They scored a lot in the second half. I think they scored every of their goals in the second half, and they conceded every. No, they conceded one in the first half and one in the second. So, yeah, they will have to be strong in the second half. And Chelsea conceded a lot of goals between the 60th and the 60th and the 90th minute. So it will be quite interesting. I think the first half will be, I will not say boring, but they will just look at the shape, how the players are physically and mentally, and the second half will be more attacking, will be more chaotic in that game. And Chelsea, even if they are favorite, and it's quite logical, they didn't impress me yet. I don't know for you, but yeah, they had good games. But it's more they had good times or periods in their games than real a good game. They have not a reference game.
Yeah, it's. I mean, something I should point out, because obviously in the fixture against Benfica, Chelsea were 5 minutes away from the end of the game. They were winning 1-0. I think had the game finished 1-0, that would have been more impressive a result than winning 4-1, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
Because what we saw when they played Flamengo was again winning 1-0, but then sort of having a minor meltdown in the space of 8 minutes, where they conceded 3 goals, where Nicholas Jackson was sent off for a straight red.
yeah,
Similar to Benfica, obviously they had this long delay because of the storm, only had 5 minutes then stoppage time to deal with, and yet the pressure got to them. Benfica got like right, and that kind of shows the inexperience of Chelsea, right? Because so many of their squad are under 24. This is an inexperienced team. This is like youthful enthusiasm, as opposed to like that cynical like for example, if 𝐊𝐤𝐤 was still playing for them, he would add something to that team,
yeah,
even if only mentally. But yeah, looking at Chelsea's results: 2-0 against LAFC, lost 3-1 to Flamengo, beat Esperance Tunis 3-0, and beat Benfica 4-1. So they scored 10 goals in 4 matches and conceded 4 as well. And again, looking at possession-wise, Palmeiras, their victories against 𝐊𝐤𝐤 was when they had 35%, and against Botafogo when they only had 47%. So Palmeiras, again, very happy not to have the ball and still win. And yet Chelsea, 65%, 74% against Tunis, 64% against Benfica. So very much, they had less than Flamengo, but they were also down to 10
yeah,
men. They like to have the ball. They like to control the game, slow things down. But the thing is, Palmeiras like to slow things down as well. You do feel like this is the sort of thing, the sort of tactic where it actually might suit Palmeiras. Chelsea having the ball, slowing the game down, slow passes, and then picking those moments to break.
yeah. And once again, we have to note that some players will not feature in this game because they are suspended, as Moises Caicedo for Chelsea. He will not be here, and Gustavo Gomez and Joaquin Piqueres for Palmeiras. So both managers will have to find issues to make that work. And I agree with you on the possession-based play by Chelsea, and it will be interesting to see how Palmeiras forwards will play. And I have expectations about Vitor Roque, because from what we have seen of his Barcelona days, he has something, he has quality, but he hasn't really showed them during this tournament. He missed a lot. He He's voluntary. He runs a lot. He makes some good moves, but he cannot finish. I don't think he scored during the
He
tournament.
hasn't, I
So
don't think.
yeah, and he is a good finisher from what we saw when he was in La Liga. So I have expectations from him to today. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's also kind of a story of Chelsea signings, right? Because they have got João Pedro, who they've just signed from Brighton, another forward. He'll be available for the game. But also on the other side, they've got another Chelsea signing, Estevao, who'll be moving after the tournament, which I found quite interesting because Chelsea are about to confirm the signing of Jamie Gittins from Dortmund, which the way I describe it, I find it a bit daft because Jamie Gittins is playing for a side that is in the quarterfinal. But if he moves, he's not allowed to play for Chelsea. You can't play for two sides in the competition.
Yeah.
So he's leaving a team in the quarterfinals that could win and could go further in the tournament. But he's leaving now and then joining a team that he can't play for, which very confusing. But Estevao
everything is confusing. Everything is confusing about Chelsea. I don't really understand why they took Gittins if they have Estevao. And following reports, they were also on Malik Fofana from Lyon. So what's the point? What's the idea behind it?
I think the owners are treating it like an American sports team. So sort of buying a lot of players just for value. So therefore you buy them young, even if you keep them for 2 years, they increase in value, you can sell them on for a profit. Yeah, Although there is some logic to a lot of the signings, to be fair. Like, for example, Nono Madueke, who has been reported are still interested in signing him. If they were to sell him, even though he's only been at the club a couple of, I think, 18 months, 2 seasons, that would be a significant profit, right? So there is logic to this. I think the conflicting thing is when you have 5 players in the same position and you can only loan out one of them. It seems confusing. Now, obviously, the situation is complicated because 𝐊𝐤𝐤 has been banned for 2 years for doping. So there is a gap on the left wing. But they also they have been playing Pedro Neto or Madueke there. Sorry, go for it.
Yeah, I have a question. Don't you think that the Chelsea model, so having a big squad full of players, even they double, triple, or quadruple some positions, isn't it the future of football because of every new competitions FIFA add to the calendar? Maybe rules will be changed in I don't know how many years, but because players will not be able to play 75, 80 because with the international duty club, imagine a season, they have to play the championship, the Premier League, the cup, national cups, the Club World Cup or World Cup or Euro or whatever. I think it will work for 1 or 2 years because players can adapt, but they will not play 70 games every season. I don't think it's possible. So
a couple of things on that. So Chelsea, the reason it worked last year is because Chelsea were in the Conference League, so they basically had an entire squad for midweek matches, an entire squad for the Premier League, and that made sense because the Conference League, with respect to the teams in the Conference League, it is type of quality lower than what Chelsea's used to, so they could play their entire second team in the Conference League.
If I can just say something for the viewers, for example, Cole Palmer wasn't on the Chelsea squad for the group stage,
wasn't even registered.
Go on.
However, now they've qualified for the Champions League. So what that suggests is, first of all, there's going to be what you usually get, which is you have your starting lineup. You have about what Guardiola likes, which is about 15, 16 core players, perhaps 18, like players he trusts to start and rotate them. And then you have about 4 or 5 academy graduates to sort of boost the numbers if they need support. That's it, right? Now, a lot of people are sort of saying in this day and age that might not work anymore because of just the sheer number of matches. But we are still talking about, say, 25 players or 26 players as you're allowed in international squads. Seems to be enough, right? That's 2 for every position and a few extra. What Chelsea have, on the other hand, is stockpiling. And they've been accused of this for years, even before the takeover. They've been buying players, loaning them out. And of course, there's now that loophole has been closed. So the rules state that you are now only allowed to loan 6 players out of your squad that haven't come through your youth academy. If they're from your youth academy, you can loan as many as you like. That's about developing young local talent. Whereas if you've bought them, players that you've purchased, you can only loan 6 out. I think over the age of 21 or 23, something like that. But yeah, so there are restrictions in place. But yeah, you do wonder. The other thing is, you do wonder why people keep signing for them, because you think about, well, there's 3 other players in that position, and I'm going to be the one to get that place. I think what the accepted thing is that with 𝐊𝐤𝐤, for example, it's probably likely that he'll take time to adapt. It's a whole other country, a whole other hemisphere, new language. 𝐊𝐤𝐤 is one for a couple of years' time, whereas 𝐊𝐤𝐤 Gittins, Manchester City Academy graduate, has been playing in the Champions League. He's ready to go straight into the starting lineup, more or less. So I think the situation at Chelsea is crazy, considering as well. The end of last season, they sold their big fancy hotel to help with their PSR situation. This year, they sold the women's team to help with their PSR situation. At some point, they're going to run out of things to sell. Anyway, look at Barcelona.
Yeah. You were talking about Guardiola wanting 25, 26 players. And Didier Deschamps also, I don't remember if it was for the last Euro or the 2022 World Cup, but he didn't want to, because I think it was during the World Cup, you could have 28 or 29 players. And he refused this because he said, it's the more player you have in your squad, the more it is difficult to deal with every egos, every players, because they're before being players, they are men with egos, so they want to play, they want to shine, and I think it's the best way to act for a manager. But I'm not a manager, and I know why, but. Yeah, in my opinion, it's the good recipe to win things.
Okay, so moving on to the next one. So you're saying an all Brazilian semi-final, Fluminense Palmeiras.
Yeah, and a Brazilian team in the final.
Oh, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
I have again. I really like. Unlike Fluminense and 𝐊𝐤𝐤, which I think will be quite a tense affair with not many goals. I think Palmeiras and Chelsea, because they play to each other's strength, like Chelsea will play, they want to play, but that also is the way that Palmeiras want to play. Whereas 𝐊𝐤𝐤 and Fluminense seem to be wanting to do the same kind of thing. I think this will be quite a fun match. I think you'll see Palmeiras take the lead. I think Chelsea will respond. I think they are growing into the tournament as well. You can see players getting their rhythm. I think both fixtures will be very, very tight. I have a sneaky feeling Chelsea will just do enough, though. I think they've got too much attacking, creative quality. But you know what? Again, like I say, I would not be surprised if it was either way. These are two very, very evenly matched fixtures. Yeah. But next up, we got Paris Saint-Germain against Bayern. Paris Saint-Germain, the 2 top scorers in the tournament so far. That is still in it. Obviously, Man City and Juventus are both out. Paris Saint-Germain to get here, they beat Atletico Madrid 4-0. They lost to Botafogo 1-0. They beat Seattle Sounders 2-0. And they beat Inter Miami 4-0. Now, to be fair, 2 of the 4 matches were against MLS teams. So the fact they've got 3 clean sheets is not so surprising. And of course, Atletico also had a man sent off in the 77th minute. So 3 clean sheets, 10 goals scored, only 1 conceded, but they have lost. They are not an undefeated team. Their possessions for each match, 74%, 75%, 78%, 67%. So we could probably guess what's going to happen here, right? Paris Saint-Germain are going to try and dominate the ball.
Yeah, it will be a revenge, a payback of the Champions League in November when Bayern beat PSG 1-0. So and the squad haven't changed a lot since then. But it will be interesting because there are teams that didn't concede a lot of goals, but they scored a lot. So for Bayern, because they play Auckland City, so yeah, they just put 10 goals to Auckland, but they did the job against Benfica, 4 against Flamengo, who beat Chelsea also. It was interesting, and I think it will be a high level game. Maybe, yeah.
I think I said this in a previous episode where I think on paper, again looking at Bayern's fixtures, right, 10-0 against Auckland City, 2-1 Boca Juniors, lost 1-0 to Benfica, and beat Flamengo 4-2. Possession 72%, 73%, 73%. Flamengo 49%. I suppose what I was going to point out, if you ignore the Auckland City one, first of all, they've not had a clean sheet, which is concerning. And so, for me personally, that would make Paris Saint-Germain favourites just because of Bayern's defending.
Yeah.
However, what I would say is, which is the thing I've said in past episodes, which was one thing that does benefit Bayern Munich is they are able to play over Paris Saint-Germain's press, which is such a potent force. The fact that they've got Harry Kane, who is one of the world's best in holding up the ball, in linking play, bringing other players in. If Vincent Kompany switches the tactical setup to a more defensively solid game plan, and like I say, and play that ball out to Kane and do that, Bayern can hurt Paris Saint-Germain. Bayern have got a lot of goals in them, but the problem is they concede goals as well, normally on the counter-attack. So it'll be interesting.
And what will be interesting also is that Jamal Musiala, who is, we can say, the star or one of the 3 stars in the squad, didn't play a lot against Flamengo. He
got injured in the first match, didn't he? He scored a hat trick in about 15 minutes and then got an injury.
And I think he substituted Serge Gnabry at the 70th minute or something like that. So yeah, he will be fresh, and it will be quite interesting also to watch if Dayot Upamecano, for example, go deep as he did against Flamengo. It will be interesting to see. I think PSG will have the ball, as you said, will have possession. Bayern will try to defend. So 𝐊𝐤𝐤 Kimmich will stay behind Leon Goretzka. Michael Olise and Kingsley Coman, no, he's injured, I think.
Say that again?
Kingsley Coman is injured.
Yeah, I think so. And also, Leroy Sané has left. He's gone to Galatasaray. He's now out.
Yeah. So Bayern will win.
Yeah, and they'll score. They'll finally score. You'll start missing all those chances. Yeah, my prediction would be, I think Paris Saint-Germain will win, but I'm predicting like a 4-2. Like, I think this is going to be high goals. I think both teams are able to hurt the other. I just think when you look at a back line, I mean, like I said before, again, Jonathan Tah, Upamecano, that's a new centre-back pairing. You need to know each other's rhythms. You need to trust each other. And yeah, that's not quite clicked yet. It'll be interesting to see the role of, say, Konrad Laimer, who's been playing at right back, covering the left wing, because obviously one of the great things about Paris Saint-Germain are the fullbacks bombing forwards. Michael Olise hasn't got the greatest of work rates, so you can't really see him like doing much tracking back. And then it depends who plays on the left, right? So again, like, okay, who's supporting Alphonse Davies on the left? Who's supporting Konrad Laimer on the right? Yeah, and you just get the feeling they're going to be completely overloaded. Excuse me one moment. There's a nice little dog here to say hello.
And it will be also interesting to see, because we know that PSG's strength is the versatility of their forwards. So it will be more interesting to see how you talked about the defense, how they react to Barcola interverting wings with Kvara, with Dembele, because I think Dembele will be in the starting lineup. It will be quite interesting.
Yeah. What would be interesting, and again, sort of, I think before we move on, for me, it's the game state. If Bayern can get ahead, then that'll be interesting. I think that's when you see the possibility of Bayern winning. If Paris Saint-Germain get ahead and then Bayern have to come out of their come out of the defensive shape, that's when you see them like scoring quite a few goals. Whereas if Bayern can just hold fast, get a goal on the break or a set piece, which they're very good at, and Paris Saint-Germain aren't the best at defending, then there's a possibility, right? But yeah, we're both going for a Paris Saint-Germain win in this one, I think. Yeah. Again, I think this is going to be. I think for me, this is the tithe round, just because it'll be fun. I think there'll be goals, and I think there'll be different game plans. Yeah, very interesting. And finally, we're going to speed things up because obviously you need to leave in about 15 minutes. Finally, Real Madrid against Dortmund. Dortmund got here by drawing 0-0 with Fluminense, by beating Mamelodi Sundowns 4-3, by beating Ulsan 1-0, by beating Monterrey 2-1. They are undefeated. They scored 7 goals but conceded 4, although 3 of them were against Mamelodi. Dortmund have threatened at times, have threatened to look pretty good, but have missed a lot of chances and do concede a lot of opportunities, a lot. Like against Monterrey, they allowed them back into the game, and Monterrey could have squeaked a draw. Do you worry about Dortmund in this one defensively?
I'm quite worried. To me, it's even the most unbalanced game of the quarterfinal, because I don't see Dortmund win against Real Madrid, to be honest, given everything we saw about them during the competition. Against Sundowns, they were quite disturbed by the quickness of their forwards. I remember Lucas Ribeiro causing a lot of damage in the Dortmund backline. Now they will face probably what's best in the world concerning this kind of attacks, with Mbappe, with Vinicius, maybe Rodrigo, who didn't play a lot during the tournament. But
well, sorry to jump in here, but there's been a lot of rumors. Apparently, Xabi Alonso has said that Rodrigo is free to leave. He doesn't see, he doesn't see a future with him, and that's got. I mean, I think that's terrific news, because Rodrigo deserves to be the star man somewhere. Jude Bellingham said recently that he thinks Rodrigo is the most talented player in the squad. And for several years, he's been forced to play on the right, which is not his favorite position, or up front, which is not his favorite position. He plays off the left. That's where he's best. And yet, despite the fact he's been playing out of his favorite position, he's been a terrific performer over the last couple of years. So he deserves to be the starter at that place and show his quality. Arsenal are rumored to be looking at him.
That's what I was going to say.
Bayern Munich still need a left winger, and also not that I was saying this is a transfer rumor, but you see in the news today that Nico Williams has rejected the move to Barcelona and has signed an 8-year extension with the Athletic Club, which I think is fantastic. But also, just to put context into Barcelona, keep signing players that they can't guarantee will be registered. It's insane.
But I don't have the same. I don't think the same about that, because Barcelona has money issues. We all know that, but they have never failed about registering a player, even if it was that close to not happening.
I would say they did last year. They weren't allowed to register Dani Olmo, and they had to go through the courts, like the Spanish legal courts, as opposed to the footballing courts, where they lost every single one until they got to the Spanish courts, when they said that he had to play. So but also that kind of undermines the entire La Liga rules. If therefore just like the national courts step in to say, because basically that undermines anybody, right? If you can't register a player, we're like, well, go to the courts and say, like, well,
But I think Nico Williams also wanted to stay at Athletic Club. It's not. I think if he could have joined Barcelona, it would be a great thing for him. But staying at Athletic Club is not something he didn't want either.
It's different when you're Basque as well. Like, it's very specific Basque identity,
and it shows. It shows how this identity is strong at Athletic and at Real Sociedad, because it's also a Basque club.
Well, apart from anything else, it seems strange from Barcelona, because Rafinha just had one of the greatest seasons ever, right? He's going to be nominated. He's one of the favourites for the Ballon d'Or, and yet they were talking about signing Williams to play in the position Rafinha was playing in. It seems strange. But we weren't talking about that. We were talking about Rodrigo being the starting man somewhere else. But we actually need to carry on because we've only got 10 minutes left. So you worry about Dortmund. I would make the point that we've mentioned before that in the last game, their squad essentially is set up beautifully for counter-attacking football, but keep sort of like going backwards and forwards in this identity, this tactical identity with the managers. And last game they had 𝐊𝐤𝐜𝐤 up front with 𝐊𝐤𝐤𝐤, and then the ability to sort of sprint into those down the flanks and into the gaps helped Dortmund a great deal. And 𝐊𝐤𝐤𝐤 actually looked very dangerous setting up 𝐊𝐤𝐤𝐤. That could hurt Madrid though, right? Madrid, who are playing a back three now. If 𝐊𝐤𝐤𝐤𝐤 was to float to the wings and find those through balls, that could cause problems.
And just to recall, Jude Bellingham will not be here. Will not play in that game, and he was quite good since the start of the tournament. He also scored. So yeah, it's a big loss for Dortmund, I think.
Okay. And Real Madrid drew 1-1 with 𝐊𝐤𝐤𝐤, beat Pachuca 3-1 despite being down to 10 men for nearly the entire match. Beat Red Bull Salzburg 3-0, beat Juventus 1-0. Real Madrid, I mean, they were particularly impressive in the second half against Juventus. They completely controlled that match in the second half. Right. So, I mean, again, you're going Real Madrid victory.
Yeah. I Real Madrid, PSG, Palmeiras, and Fluminense. Yeah.
I think the only thing I disagree about is Chelsea, to be honest. Right. Okay. So a couple of other things before we move on. It's also been reported that FIFA has slashed the ticket prices for the quarterfinals, which obviously they did before the start of the tournament for the group stages and throughout the group stages. But the fact they have to do it for quarterfinals is embarrassing. Apparently, for the Fluminense 𝐊𝐤𝐤𝐤 game, tickets have been slashed to $11.
It's incredible, but it's good for fans because But it shows a lot of the way FIFA organized its tournament.
And before we go on to the women's Euros, I always ask the question at this stage. So yes, your trivia question for this: of all the 8 quarterfinalists, 5 are currently undefeated. Of those 5, which is the only team that has not trailed at any point in the tournament?
Can you just recall who the 5 teams are? Which
Fluminense, 𝐊𝐤𝐤𝐤, Palmeiras, Real Madrid, and Dortmund. One of those teams has not actually been behind at any point in the tournament.
Is it Palmeiras?
It is not. Palmeiras were losing 2-0 to Inter Miami.
Ah, yeah. I thought about Real Madrid, but would it be too easy?
It's Real Madrid. So yes, Fluminense were losing against Ulsan at one point. 𝐊𝐤𝐤𝐤 were behind against Real Madrid and against Manchester City. Palmeiras were behind against Inter Miami, 2 goals behind them. Dortmund were losing to Mamelodi Sundowns briefly. Real Madrid are the only team that have not been behind at any point during the tournament. So it does. There is an element of there's luck in there because obviously against Juventus had an early chance 1-1 that Milani put over the bar. But Real Madrid, I think that I was just sort of highlighting just how controlled their performances have been so far in this tournament. Right, before we go, we've still got about 8 minutes to quickly touch on the Women's European Championship. Yesterday, you had the world champions Spain starting against Portugal, which we were hoping to have Pedro for, to talk about Portugal, because obviously there were the touching scenes remembering Diogo Jota before the game, and obviously that was going to affect the players. Spain ended up winning 5-0. It was 4-0 at halftime. I mean, it was. Did you watch this match?
I watched Portugal versus Spain. First, they were Spain, our favorite, the big favorite of the tournament. It was quite a strong message that Spain decided to send out to their opponent.
For context as well, like Aitana Bonmati, the best player in the world for the last 2 years, was on the bench. They played Vicky Lopez, an 18-year-old at Barcelona, and she was terrific. She was absolutely fantastic.
I saw that in the tight spaces, she's really good. She has technical ability.
She has a burst of pace as well, which is so good. The ability to sort of take the ball
And Spain,
and accelerate
yeah,
one way.
and
Spain.
Spain played without their starting goalkeeper too.
Yeah, but I think
Yeah.
that was of all the games to do it. I think they knew they were going to be fairly in control. Yeah, it was fantastic.
And
I forget what.
it was a huge start to the match with the 4 goals in the first half, including the one that Putellas scored, which was it was
Lovely.
exceptional. Yeah.
For those who didn't see it, so they were 2 goals up inside the first 8 minutes. So they really came out of the box. The first goal was particularly impressive. A ball was played over the top of defence, and it was Esther Gonzalez running behind. She controlled it with her shoulder. It was this glorious thing, like to be able to like pop up on the shoulder and controlled it as the ball came down and just sort of flicked it over the goalkeeper. It was almost cheeky. It was almost like so nonchalant.
It was Brazilian.
But yeah, it was. But there was no disrespect there. It was just like that's instinct. That just it's top quality. The Putellas goal in the 41st minute. That was also a similar thing actually. Ball over the top. She ran in. She controlled it with her chest. But then she faked the shot, and the defender obviously slid by. So she sat the defender down and then easily placed the ball around the goal. But yeah, I mean there was just so much quality in this. But yeah, so Spain open up their competition with a 5-0 victory against Portugal. To be fair to Portugal, they actually played fairly well at points. Had the commentator was saying getting to halftime at 2-0 would have been really good, but they just conceded a couple of times in the last 5 minutes. They almost went the entire second half without conceding before Spain scored in the 3rd minute stoppage time. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, just a last thing about that game. What's striking me about this Spain team is its ability to attack in different ways, playing the Spanish style with possession from right to left, and as well as using more direct style of play, like we saw on Putellas' goal, and it was quite interesting.
Yeah, I think the instinct would be to say, like, because of their midfield three of Bonmati, Cortes, and 𝐊𝐤𝐤, the central three of the Barcelona, it's easy to make comparisons with the Spain men's team from like 2008, 2012, right? Having those 3 core players, but they don't necessarily play like that. There's real pace. There's real direct play when they have to. It's hello, Pedro. We just talked about the Spain-Portugal women's match. Do you want to say anything for Portugal, who at times actually looked pretty decent?
First of all, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
It was painful to watch the game for a Portuguese fan. Spain dominated Portugal in all the sectors. They can pass, they can cross, they can dribble, they can shoot every way, left foot, right foot to the hand. No story. And it was a quite surprise for me because Portugal played much worse than in the last World Cup. It seems they lose the power, they lose the tactical discipline, they lose the swagger, they lose everything. I'm afraid in the next round Portugal loses and it's out. Because it's the weakest link in this group.
I will speak up in their defence, just because their tournament is not this match. Spain are so clearly the favourites. I think they could have had this result against basically any team in the tournament -2 or 3. They are that dominant. Portugal, you could see the logic of their tactical setup, though. I mean, yes, conceding twice in the opening 10 minutes doesn't help, but having Diana and Jessica Silva up front and sort of doing the split striker system where the ball's played down the flanks and they sprint and they carry the ball forwards, that they actually had some success with that. But the problem is with them carrying the ball forwards, there was no one backing them up. There's too big a gap between the attack and their midfield. But their pace and dribbling really did trouble the Spanish defence. And actually, Portugal could have scored. I noted down the 74th minute. When your team is so dominant, you can switch off defensively. So Portugal had a chance to score in the 74th minute, where a set piece was cleared, ball was recycled, a clip ball comes back in, and there's a Spanish defender a good like 5-6 yards behind the rest of the defense. I think it was 𝐊𝐤𝐤, the number 21. So the ball came to her and obviously has the chance to score, chests it down, but then balloons it over the bar. But like, had that gone in, suddenly it's 4-1 and it's a lot more respectable. But yes, but like I say, I think Portugal, their tournament starts now. So they've got 2 matches. If they get 4 points from them, they have a chance of going through. Their next match is against Italy, though. So if Italy win that, then Portugal are out, sadly. But it kind of makes it nice and clear. Beat the Italians, and you remain in the tournament. We just so you know, Pedro, we're having a shorter session today because Leo has to go in just a few minutes.
I got 5 minutes. I get 5 minutes left. If
in that case,
all right.
I'll have a quick word on this before we go back to Pedro. But the Belgium-Italian match, if you haven't seen it, don't bother. It was quite a slow, tense affair. But I did say watch out for 𝐊𝐤𝐜𝐤, and she got the only goal of the game. Real beautiful strike from the edge of the penalty area. Opened up her bodies to sort of direct it towards the top far corner, but then launched it left instead, and actually wrong-footed both the defender and the goalkeeper. It was a lovely finish. Did you see the goal?
Yeah, and I think Italy could even have added to their lead because they had occasions. And following the Spain versus Portugal game, it's quite an important victory. For Italy.
Huge.
Yeah, because now it's 3 points, and they put pressure on their next opponent. But don't Italy play Spain in the next game?
I thought it was Portugal. I think Italy-Portugal.
Okay.
I might be wrong about that. If you don't mind checking, but I think it's Italy.
Yeah, I just checked them for you. Yeah, you're right. It will be Portugal, Italy.
Yes. So Pedro, we didn't get your opinions on the Club World Cup quarterfinals. Would you like to give your predictions? First of all, Fluminense 𝐊𝐤𝐤. A quick word on what you think will happen and who will win.
Yes, I will do that. Let me just say 2 quick things. When you have a stage group with 2 clubs have 3 points and the other loses the match, the team who makes the second win makes 6 points is qualified. Okay, so they do that. The team in the next round, one of the teams, Italy or Spain, who wins, it's automatically qualified to the next round. Another thing that I checked, it was the attendance in the Italy
it was great,
match.
wasn't it? It was sorry, you carry on.
No. It was around 8,000. What is considering in Switzerland a good assistant for a human match. So the stadium was about 60% of their capability. Considering the FIFA Clubs World Cup, it will be a very interesting match to follow between 𝐊𝐤𝐤𝐤 and Palmeiras, right?
So the first one is Fluminense 𝐊𝐤𝐤𝐤. Yes.
Fluminense. It's what I talk about because you guys never mentioned it. Who is the state championship in Brazil? It's important for a Brazilian state championship. For example, for the state of São Paulo, it's important that for example, Palmeiras can win the state championship over Corinthians or São Paulo. Also in Rio de Janeiro state, it's important to see Fluminense to win the state championship over Flamengo or Botafogo or whatever. So Palmeiras, it's a team with a massive support of fans. Massive.
You didn't see that? Leo was pointing at the shirt he's got behind him.
Yeah, hello, Fluminense.
And also
whilst we're on the quick subject of shirts, do yourselves a favor, guys. Look at the shirt for Nuremberg. Nuremberg have just released a new kit. It is one of the most beautiful kits I've ever seen. FC Nuremberg. Pedro too. Oh, he's unfrozen. So yes, Pedro, Fluminense 𝐊𝐤𝐤𝐤. Who do you think will win?
I don't know what to say. I saw the last game of 𝐊𝐤𝐜𝐤. It was a big surprise that guys were moving the ball so fast in the counter attacks. They scored 4 goals against Manchester City. Oh my goodness! I couldn't believe it. But at least if you want a prediction, I didn't check the odds, but I think both teams to score yes have here a possibility because it's an important game for both, and I see that both teams can score. If they score 4 goals in the last matches, I think it will be different than the previous game from Fluminense. It will be more open. What do you think, guys?
Well, we actually have to stop the live stream in just a minute's time. So we've given our predictions already. Pedro, I just want your predictions. So Fluminense, 𝐊𝐤𝐜𝐤, who will go through?
Are you listening to me?
Yes, yeah, I can hear you, but I'm just saying we have to end the live stream.
Okay,
now.
okay, 𝐊𝐤𝐜𝐤. 𝐊𝐤𝐜𝐤.
You're going
𝐊𝐤𝐜𝐤.
Okay.
Okay, 𝐊𝐤𝐜𝐤 for me.
Palmeiras, Chelsea.
It's a flip coin. It's a flip coin. I will say Palmeiras because it's a Brazilian. They spoke my language, Portuguese. So I'm rooting for them, but it's a flip coin in my opinion.
Yeah,
you back me. You are backing me, Pedro. I also said Palmeiras.
I'm always glad with that. In the day that I said I agreed with everything you said, then I missed my 2 plays in that day. But it was a big surprise for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Leo and I were both saying that both of those matches we've discussed already, like they're going to be so close. I say, Paris Saint-Germain, Bayern, Pedro. Can't hear you. Paris Saint-Germain or Bayern?
Paris Saint-Germain all the day.
Yeah, I thought as much. And finally, Real Madrid or Borussia Dortmund?
Real Madrid is the biggest club in the world. The club with more supporters around the world. I don't know. Maybe here extra time. Maybe here an extra time.
Just behind Lyon.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's end that there. Turns out that we all agree that PSG and Real Madrid will go through. I'm the only person that thinks Chelsea will go through. And Pedro's the only person that thinks 𝐊𝐤𝐜𝐤 will go through. So maybe all of us will be right. Maybe none of us will be right. I mean, that happened last time with Inter and Manchester City going out. So thank you. But quickly before we go, Leo, did you see Nürnberg's kit?
Sorry? No, I didn't find it. I went on Twitter, but...
Oh, keep going. Anyway, right, we're going to end things there. Thank you, everybody, for joining us once again. We'll come back tomorrow, and and we'll discuss... the first quarterfinal and everything. Make sure you read the daily match reports that I'm going to be putting up for the Women's Euros to get more details of how that's going down. Yes, and I'll see everybody tomorrow. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Oh, no, you won't see me tomorrow. It's Friday.
Thanks,
no, you won't see. I'll see you next week. You can do this yourselves.
Yeah, so see you on Monday. Thanks.
I'll discuss then. Bye, Pedro. Bye, Leo.